Hi everyone, we're going to take a look at how to change the spark plugs and spark plug wires on a Mazda Miata. Mine's a 1994, but the process will be similar for your car as well. Let's get to work. Here are the tools that you'll need. You'll need a torque wrench, and you'll need it set to between 132 and 192 inch-pounds. This particular one is set to 180 inch-pounds. You can optionally have a second ratchet, which I use just for the removal portion, so we don't put any reverse strain on the torque wrench. A socket extension, a spark plug socket with the rubber protective portion inside to protect the spark plugs. You need 4 spark plugs. Specifically recommended by the manuals are NGK spark plugs, gap to 0.04 to 0.043 inches. You'll need anti-seize compound, a spark plug gap tool, which I have here, and 4 spark plug wires. Now, one thing you may notice missing is the dielectric silicone grease or insulating grease for the spark plug boots. I do not have that because the spark plug wires I've purchased are pre-greased and specifically do not recommend putting any additional grease in the boots. Okay, first things first, let's make sure that the gaps on the spark plugs are set properly before we put them in the car. So we're going to use that spark plug gap tool and verify that we are at 0.040 to 0.043 inches in gap. And as you notice here, the tool is in fact verified that we are set to 0.040 inch gap, which is correct for this car. We need to remove the spark plug wires in the order from longest to shortest. So we're going to start with the outermost spark plug wire first, which is right here. Now, you don't want to pull the wire, you simply want to twist the boot several times to release that grip on the spark plug and pull it straight up, exactly like this. Now, this is a good chance to take a look inside and see if there's any kind of white powdery residue or any corrosion inside. This actually looks very good, so that's a good sign. Looking down into the cylinder, you can see the spark plugs from this angle. Okay, the next step is to remove the spark plug from the engine. Let's place your ratchet inside and spin it until it comes out. Now, this one didn't appear to be tightened in there too tight, which is not necessarily a good sign. They are supposed to be tightened to a specific torque, and the purpose of that is to help dissipate heat and make sure they're seated properly inside the cylinder. Now, one problem you may run into is you may not be able to remove the spark plug with the existing socket, so just use the old boot. You should be able to reach in there and pull it right out. This is also a good opportunity to inspect your spark plugs and see what kind of condition they're in. You can check the tops of the spark plugs to see if there's any oil leaking from your valve cover gaskets down towards the tops of your spark plugs and bottoms of your wires. And you can also inspect the insides of your spark plugs to see if there's any oil or any other kind of unusual residue. There are numerous charts online that will tell you what the condition of the spark plug here means. Okay, prior to placing the new spark plug in place, take some of the anti-seize compound you purchased and just put a nice light coating of it around the threads of the new spark plug. The next time that they have to be removed, it will prevent them from being seized into the threads on your motor. A nice coating of it on your threads. Okay, you want to hand thread the new plug in. Okay, do not tighten it first with your torque wrench. You want to hand thread in because you want to know the threads are not being cross-threaded. It's a very expensive and very time-consuming mistake should you thread them in, cross-thread them in with a tool. So just tighten them in by hand. And now it's time for your torque wrench. Okay, we've got the torque wrench in place, and again we're going to tighten to about 180 inch-pounds. And you'll know you're good when you hear the clicking. So there we go. We're good. Okay, spark plug's tightened in place. So now it's time to replace the spark plug wire. If you do these one cylinder at a time, it will be much easier to remember which one goes where on the coil pack and which one goes into which cylinder. So again, just take and twist. Don't pull from the wire, pull from the boot. And remove. Again, these are pre-greased. Push one end of the wire down on the coil pack, all the way. And with the spark plugs, push them in until you feel and hear the click. And you'll know you've got a good solid connection. Okay, now that we've replaced all 4 spark plugs and all 4 wires, let's give it a test and see how it does. And there it is, music to the home mechanic's ears. And now it's time for the best part of any vehicle service, the test drive. Smooth running, fast revs, quick responsiveness, increased power, the top's down, the weather's great. What a great drive and a great car. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Mazda Miata Fan. We'll look forward to seeing you on future episodes of the show. Thanks and take care. Bye-bye.